Sorry, yeah, we just had one of those moments where we start talking about the topic for like about 10 minutes. And we're like, we should be really recording this.
Really good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Hey, you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and thanks for joining us once again for another episode of the infamous That Chapter podcast. I'm trying to, make us controversial, maybe get us cancelled, and probably do our great for our numbers. All right. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I'm joined here. You already heard his beautiful dulcet tones, music to my ears.
Stupid giggle of a laugh.
There you go. There you go. It's Keith. Hello, Keith.
Hello. Good to be here.
How are you?
Great. Coming in hot.
All right.
Okay, so I went to McDonald's earlier on with my daughter.
Look at you.
I know, yeah. And she got a Happy Meal because she's 3 and she loves Happy Meals. The toys. What is with the toys these days?
Shocking.
My parents are doing like a big clean out of their house, and they're showing like loads of stuff from the attic, and there was a box of toys, and they're like, do you want to keep any of these? I'm like, no, I'm 34. You can show me, that's fine. But when I was looking through them, I still had some of the toys from McDonald's Happy Meals.
Really?
Yeah, like there was one I remember in particular. It was like it must have been from when like Batman came out, but it was Robin, and it was like on his motorbike, and you pull it back so the wheels rev up and you let it go, and it goes off in circles.
Ah, wow.
Really good. Like, really top-notch toys there.
Yeah, back when quality, manufacturing meant something.
Yeah, and then my daughter today got this. She was like, because you give the option now, do you want a book or do you want a toy? And she was like,
book.
It's like, a toy. Like,
my kid's not a nerd. Obviously, I want a toy.
Pizza nerd. But, so she got the toy. And the toy, it was a deck of Uno cards. That's crap.
That sucks.
It's awful. And then before a couple of, like, I think last month we were at McDonald's again. She got like a toy again. It was just like some cardboard crappy cutout thing.
Ugh.
I was like, what is that?
That is lame.
Honestly, lost and like torn and destroyed within the day.
Yeah.
Up your game, McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring out the good toys again.
Yeah, listen, if you want me to spend my money, which I will regardless, you better bring back some good toys for the Happy Meals, which I don't buy, but I demand it. This is a That Chapter statement. Official That Chapter statement from the That Chapter podcast, co-signed to the fullest extent, my man, by Keith. He's writing a letter demanding good ass toys.
Oh, absolutely. A fierce complaint. Bring back the good toys.
That's it. Today, speaking of good toys, that has nothing to do, but listen, my tangents need work. Today we're talking about something very, very spooky, but you know what? It's been a couple episodes, Keith. Any spooky tales from your haunted house? Because you did get a Ouija board.
I woke up the other night, and that's the thing. I don't know if I was like still dreaming because I woke up in the middle of the night, and there was like a shadow in the room, like just kind of off to the corner a little bit, and it's like dreary-eyed and half asleep, and I kind of seen the shadow, and it moved back into the corner.
Ooh.
Where the dark shadow is. So it was kind of like the shadow moved back into the shadow.
Yeah, so you couldn't see it. That's cool.
Yeah, I was like,
that's fun.
I was like, what the fuck was that? It was so weird.
Were you having your night terrors?
My night terrors? Cobras. That's it.
No,
No,
I use a Simpsons reference every single time.
I use Simpson references on the daily. It's like how I communicate. But no, it wasn't, because I know that feeling when I wake up and I can't move. I woke up and seen. I was like, still bleary eyed. I took a glass of water. Like, how was that? And I kind of got up and like turned the light. Well, I didn't turn the light off because I turned the light in the hall, because if I turned the light on, my wife would kill me.
Yeah.
She's like, what are you doing? But so I turned the light in the hall just to see, and opened the light. Yeah, there was nothing there, so I went back to bed then. So, but it was because I was like half asleep, half in, half out. I was like, was that a dream? Was it just a weird shadow from the curtain? The windows weren't open, so the curtain wouldn't be moving, but something, strange. But apart from that, nothing really much else. Like, I've been trying to kind of, because there hasn't been so much scary stuff, I've been trying to scare myself these days. Watching a lot of like spooky things on YouTube. There's like just some great one of the ones I was actually watching, I watched a lot of the shorts, the horror shorts.
Oh yeah, like short horror movies and stuff like that. Yeah.
Really like them. They're really cool. But I find what other things that really scare me is the videos of people like cave diving and like probably getting in these like
oh my god, I go through that phase as well, where I just Google like most disturbing cave diving stuff. There's a couple of channels of guys who do the spelunking and shit, and they just attach a GoPro to their heads, and like they're almost dying and shit like this. It's
terrifying, especially the ones when it's underwater. And you have to like push their scuba gear in front of them and get through it. Yeah, that scares you. Like hyperventilating in bed.
I know.
Very claustrophobic.
I do it to myself though sometimes, to torture myself.
I do on purpose.
Like you just watch these videos of these guys like.
Yeah.
Going through these caves,
and you turn off like, good night.
Yeah. Well, no, I got from that like, whoa, thank fuck, I'm not one of them. I thought my life was bad.
You're in a cave right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here you go. You listen, or you could be listening to the That Chapter podcast.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will scare you.
Happy Monday if you're listening to this on Monday, which is when most of our listeners do, because that's when we post news upload.
That's it.
All right. No more of that. Now let's get into today's topic. And today's topic is a creepy pasta. And it's not what's on the menu at that Italian restaurant which gave me the runs. It is a story, a creepy and fun story. Very quickly all too horrifyingly real, I guess is the only way you can say about this.
Yeah.
That's when two girls decided to appease the Slender Man, aka their own mental health issues. One of the girls was on the receiving end of these disturbing delusions, which became all too real for this small community of Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Terrifying. Slenderman. Slenderman. Is he tall? Yeah, he is.
Let's keep going.
Look
This is
out.
good. Hey.
Here comes the Slenderman.
So let's not start with the where for this sole one. Let's start with the when. I'm shaking things up. The date was May 31st, 2014, and it started out as a pretty normal Saturday for most folk. The weather, nice that time of year, warm but not quite the baking heat of the dog days of summer. And for one Greg Steinberg, it was the perfect morning for a bike ride. Headed out for his morning little, wheeling away. He had no idea what awaited him on the trail. Greg biked through the woods in David's Park, bypassing a chained-off area and carrying on. Now, Greg, not one to typically break the rules, but this day he said to hell with it. Some may say it was divine intervention or an act of God. Not long into his ride, he came across a figure lying on the ground. As he rode up closer, he realized it was a young girl. Covered in blood and in mud, the girl managed a weak, "Help me, I've been stabbed." Our case today takes place in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Waukesha is the Native American language. It means fox, used back for the first days of the settlement because there were so many of those little critters running around, if you can believe that, Keith.
That's really interesting. I wonder if it's the same for the town of Slickpoo, Idaho. Slickpoo, Idaho.
Slickpoo, ladies and gentlemen.
Is this thing on?
Slickpoo.
I done like a bit of research for this when after a few glasses of wine, and in my notes I have Slickpoo, Idaho ? Funny.
Ding tick mark beside that one.
I'll write down yes.
Yeah. You're writing this like, Keats, you madman, you've done it
I know,
again.
like 3 glasses of wine. I was like, that's pretty funny.
So once known as Springs, I enjoyed it. Once known as Spring City for its clear and refreshing spring water, Waukesha is more known nowadays by the Slender Man stabbing. Because guess what, in 2023, the water wasn't so great anymore due to pollution, toxic levels of good old radium, and, well, drought, so there wasn't really much water there to begin with. It's also where that mentally ill Darrell Brooks Jr., he drove his van through a Santa Claus parade in November 2021, killing 6 people and injuring many others. You know, it's funny, I've covered a lot of cases in this part of America. Wisconsin recently. I think one of the more recent cases I did is Mark Jensen. He poisoned his wife. It's like, what's up with that? Some parts of America, well, I guess really just the world, but obviously I cover most of my cases are in America. It's like, you're just real hotspots. What's up with that? Explain yourself.
Let's delve into that. What is that?
Sometimes I do wonder if there's something in the water in some places where it just breeds murder.
Yeah.
And everybody just gets to a killing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like around that area, I know they have a lot of trouble with water. Isn't that like right beside Flint, Michigan as well?
No, this is Wisconsin.
Or,
Isn't that Michigan is not that close, is it? Or is it? Oh, maybe. Oh, I think you're actually.
Let's Google that.
Yeah, this is the Google off.
Who can get it first?
No, you can get it fair. You're actually, well, I mean, they're close, but not really close. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, close on a map, but
I think
like,
it looks close on the map.
separated,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, folks, there you go.
There you go. They're beside each other. There we go.
It could be the water. Who knows?
So to your point, I don't know.
Yeah, thanks for the input. So aside from all the murder, though, it's a pretty sleepy place. It exists along the Fox River and boasts a population of just over 72,000 people with over 100 acres of parkland and 50 parks. Very, very pleasant, leafy, nice little place.
Well, apparently it's actually not so sleepy. There's apparently a mythical village of dwarves in Waukesha County, Wisconsin. This village is called Haunchyville.
Ooh, Haunchyville, where all the dwarves live. I like that.
Scary, right? So legend says that there is a hidden dwarf village nestled deep in the woods and is protected by an old, tall albino man. with a gun. So
I like that. Just also is a good. I think it just totally takes us out of this mythical idea we're having here. It's like the gnomes have machine guns.
But if you're unlucky enough to get by the old man and into the village, the dwarves, they'll cut your legs off from the knees down in the sort of, one of us.
One of us. Very cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
So that's that good wine research coming in there.
Keith, drunk researching Keith is the best, Keith. So to start, let's begin with one of the girls in our story. Her name was Payton Leutner. She was born in 2002 to Stacy and Joe Leutner. Payton grew up to be a very empathetic kiddo, always believed in kindness, standing up against bullies, never leaving anyone behind or anyone out. So when Morgan was the new kid at school, in grade 4, sitting by herself, struggling to make friends, Payton sat with her. In an interview much later, she would say, "She was sitting all by herself, and I didn't think anyone should have to sit by themselves." It's very cute, very sweet.
Yeah, seems like a nice kid.
Teachers and other friends described Payton as the social butterfly of the group of the 3 best friends that anyone can have. She would often dress up as a cat, drawing little whiskers on her hands, and other kids in the school would go on to refer to the trio as odd, basically because they made up a weird mixed group. A little sprinkle of everything in there.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know what you're going to get.
Something different.
They were definitely not popular, and they kept mostly to themselves. Morgan Geyser made up another member of that trio. She was born May 16th, 2002 to Matt and Angie Geyser. She was referred to as Mogo.
I know, that's a terrible
That
nickname.
is awful. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Mogo. What noise does Mogo make? Like, that's what it sounds like.
It sounds like a caveman.
It sounds like your dog.
Yeah.
But that's what she was named by her parents and her 2 brothers. And before we get to what we will get into, Mogo had been a well-loved student, often staying after class to help clean up. She loved her anime. Fucking weeboo over. I'm not an anime guy. Never watched it.
Yeah, I've never seen any of it. So.
My wife loves it.
Yeah,
She loves her anime.
Yeah, not my
Never
jam.
appealed to me.
Yeah, well, in fact, like I've never watched it. Maybe if I'd seen something I might enjoy, but I just don't think I would.
You know what I tried to watch? There's one, it's called Demon Slayer. But it just goes on and on and on, and you're like, oh boy, is this ever gonna end?
I feel I'm getting that part of my life as like I'm getting older. Like I know that like I'm not trying that new.
Yeah, exactly. I'm narrowing down my things. I'm watching the same 5 movies.
Yeah.
I realize I'm getting older as my dad. He would watch like the same movies over and over again.
John Wayne.
Yeah, just cowboys in general. And I'm going to be like that. 90s movies. I'm like, I understand. You watched the movies you loved when you were growing up.
I know, it makes sense.
Yeah, now I'm going to be like, I'm going to be watching like 90s freaking Jim Carrey movies and the Blair Witch Project on repeat when I'm like drooling in the old folks home. So she loved her anime, her American Girl dolls, and animals. And Morgan, Mogo, showed no signs of concern for her mental health until later on she would be evaluated while incarcerated. Now, it should be noted that Morgan's father had his own mental health issues and had been hospitalized 4 times for schizophrenia, and there were allegations he was also sexually abusive.
I actually looked it up because I didn't know if schizophrenia was inherited or not. So apparently just because your mother or father is schizophrenic, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to develop it too.
Yes.
But it can make you more likely to develop symptoms.
For sure. I think that's with most I'm not a doctor, but from what I understand, with most mental health issues, they are like semi-hereditary. Yeah, just like if your parents has it, it means that the kid might be more, not that you're going to get it or you have it, but you might be more just predisposed to getting it.
I think you have like these underlying genetics which may give it to you, and then it can be exacerbated by environmental conditions.
For sure.
Your surroundings kind of push you over the edge then.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. Like, if you believe, like a lot of people do, like addiction is just a mental health issue. So alcoholics, if they're kids, will sometimes have to be careful around alcohol because they might just be predisposed to being alcoholics. Same with drugs, same with depression and schizophrenia. Any of them.
Very true.
But listen, what do I know? You know what, folks? We're going to start giving you psychology or psychotherapy advice and
medical advice, whatever you need.
Listen to us, folks. Throw away the pills. You do not need them.
Lawsuit incoming.
And so Morgan and Payton continued on to become best friends. Payton said she never had any reason to think there was anything, sinister or evil about Mogo. Name kind of a bit of a giveaway. Morgan. Isn't Morgan, Morgan. That's what I'm thinking of. The Irish evil witch from Irish mythology is like the Morgan, which kind of sounds like Morgan.
It's like Morgul or something,
Yeah.
Or am I thinking Lord of the Rings?
Man. Yeah, you are thinking. No, Keith, that's Sauron. So she admitted, though, she's a bit lonely. She had a great sense of
humor. Malgrua, that's what it is.
Malgrua?
Yeah.
Oh, that's from the episode we did about Halloween.
Yes,
Look at you, throwback. 6 months ago, folks, we did a Halloween episode. You should give it a go.
It's a great episode.
Yeah. Keith loves that episode because you did a lot of other research on the old Irish mythology.
I learned so much about Halloween. I was like, I enjoyed every moment writing that. I was like, I'd reduce the script because I'd way too much. I was like, it's too long.
Yeah.
But it's a good episode.
I can't wait for Halloween. We're recording this in May, 6 months till Halloween. We mentioned it, but I think we should do some live streams. We should do some live streams before that. We should definitely do like a Halloween.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun.
Definitely.
So for the next 2 years, the best friends did things that best friends do at this age. They were playing together, sleepovers, told stories, did a lot of laughing, a lot of crying. They were inseparable. Until, motherfucking dun, we get to the final girl who makes up our trio. In grade 6, another new student was introduced to the class, and her name was Anissa Weir. Anissa just so happened to live in the same apartment complex as our Mogo. So they started taking the bus to and from school daily, where a dangerous friendship, a folie à deux, that means foie gras times a deuce, started to take place. Anissa was born November 10th, 2001 to Bill and Christy Weir. She had an older brother, William, and everything reported about her childhood was seemingly relatively normal. However, her brother has since gone on the record saying he remembers his sister having a dark side, much like the man sitting across from me, and a rather intense obsession with the mythical Slender Man.
Nice. It's probably one of like the first times when I've seen, I do the interview with the family. I was like, oh, we didn't know. It came out of nowhere.
Have guessed.
The brother's like, no, she was messed up, dude.
Yeah. Oh, she was fucked from the start. I can see it happening.
Yeah.
I love that.
I called it.
Yeah, finally, somebody's saying, oh, we could never imagine our sweet baby. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
I knew she was going to all the time. Somewhere along this obsession, William says the line between reality and dream was certainly blurred. But at the end of the day, she was just a little girl who truly did not seem to understand the ramifications of her obsession or the upheaval it was about to have on everyone around her. As you said, William was her brother was the only person who seemed, she's obsessed with this Slender Man. She's a bit of a psycho.
Yeah.
She's probably going to do something.
Yeah.
And she did. Like, aside from the major event, which is the subject of this episode, her family, though, reports her just being pretty quiet and happy and normal outside of that. Not really any huge red flags. Sure, she watched some creepy stories about Slender Man on YouTube. My search history is not great either, but it's definitely not enough to think someone is capable of what Anissa and Morgan would later go on to do. So with Anissa being the new one in the group, Morgan took her under her wing and they became fast friends. But there was something off, something a little kooky, a little bit askew about Anissa. Payton would later say she never really got on that well with her, just didn't quite, click in the way she did with Morgan. But she wanted to give everyone the benefit of the doubt because her bestie was vouching for her, so she accepted her also. So Payton and Morgan, the twosome, soon became a threesome. And this is when things started to change. Things spiraled big time. And Payton had no way to know her entire life as she knew it was about to change at the hands of the friends she trusted the most. The introduction of Anissa into their little square, now circle, was catastrophic. Who knows what would have happened if it had just been Morgan and Payton for the rest of their school days. But it should be known that with Anissa came the introduction to the Slender Man. I fucking love the Slender Man. I love urban legends and creepypastas in general.
Yeah.
But Slender Man is like the best. I know there's ones before the Slender Man, like internet legends and stuff, but it's like, he's still like the best. He's the big dog.
He is. He's a top man. He's up there.
He is the top man. So where did he come from? Well, it's actually a lot of fun. I mean, I'm going to tell you a story now, but you can literally go on to the forums and watch him being created like in real time, because all the forums how I just tell you the story. So Slenderman was the result of a paranormal Photoshop contest on the now defunct Something Awful forum back in 2009. I actually have the forum. You can literally watch it. It's so great reading the thread here on somethingawful.com. It's in the comedy gold mine, and then it's create paranormal images. it's so funny though watching it. You can literally see timestamps of when the first images and then the people reacting to the image and everything like that. So the original, everybody knows what Slender Man looked like, but just so you know, the original depicted as an abnormally tall, thin man with no distinguishable features on his face, just a blank face, no nose, no eyes, no mouth, wearing a black suit with a red or a white tie and a white shirt. Sometimes the drawings show him with tentacles growing out of his back. So big, tall guy wearing white, all white with a black suit, black tentacles.
Basically, think Jack Skeleton with no face.
That's exactly it. Yeah, Jack Skellington, but the face is just blank.
Or, do you know who I think would play doing well in a film? Even like Steve Merchant, I think he'd be good.
Oh yeah.
If you don't know him, Snoop Dogg, I feel he has the framework
he
for it. He
definitely would do it.
He's like
very
tall,
gangly.
Yeah. Like imagine him like one of those morph suits.
Yeah, man.
He'd be good.
He'd be pretty cool. Coming in.
Yeah.
That'd be good. I like that. Yeah. So originally created by Victor Surge, that was the username. Real name Eric Knudsen on June 10th of 2009. As I said, the webpage, it's still up. You can view all the submissions and Victor's, of course, which should go on to become famous. So yeah, the idea was a competition to Photoshop regular ass images and, you know, the competition make them creepy. Photoshop them to make them creepy. Most, honestly, you can look through all of them. Most kind of bad. A lot of just moody pictures, and then a lot of them are just moody pictures with really nothing in them. Others, or a shittily photoshopped, you know, ghost, or a shittily photoshopped something into an image. His one though is the one that really kind of stands out. I'll use his original images probably as a thumbnail when I post this podcast episode on YouTube. So along with the images, he also he hinted at a story. He didn't even just post images. He kind of like hinted at a backstory, which I think is what led the Slender Man to really kind of take hold. So the two images he posted, one is they're both black and white. The first one he posted is it's kind of like kids in like 80s garb. They're all facing the camera, walking towards the camera, and then in the background you can see a blurry kind of white figure standing very, very tall behind them. And then the caption with that one is, quote, "We didn't want to go, we didn't want to kill them, but its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time. 1983, photographer unknown, presumed dead."
It's so good.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
The second one shows a kid climbing a slide, and in the background under a tree is a Slender Man with some kids beside him. And the caption for that one is, "One of the two recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished, for what is referred to as the Slender Man. Deformities cited as film defects by officials. Fire at library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence. 1986, photographer Mary Thomas missing since June 13th, 1986. What was funky was Victor, username Victor, real name Eric. He when he started posting these, he actually started passing the photographs off as real, like, you know, and then he essentially was just playing along, you know, making them, you know, pretending, playing a game. Yeah. And then his next comment on the forum was 2 days later. It was on June 11th, 2009. "Maybe I'll do some more research. I heard there may be a couple more legit Slender Man photographs out there. I'll post them if I find them," kind of like with a wink. Yeah. Then later on that same day, he posted a photo of a mirror and Slender Man photoshopped in, and below the caption of the mirror is, so 24th of May 1995, and then the caption is 1994 Wilkes Estate. One subject reported nothing out of the ordinary before taking photograph. Lower stairs area was said to be very dark. Subject states that after the camera flash, she heard a sound like a watermelon being, and then unable to understand subject. Then the next post is from a day later. Like, it's kind of done in like a diary format, this posting. Subject unable to recall events after manner power failure. Unable to question other two identified subjects. Camera and film acquired from Gloria Creedy, current resident of Woodview Mental Hospital and Psychological Rehabilitation Clinic. Film mostly uncontaminated despite mass of blood and human tissue present on camera. No positive ID on anomalous tall and slender subject. Facial blur caused by possible contamination. So he basically is making more of these posts as if they're real police like investigations.
He's kind of fine as he's going on.
Yeah, and like, or they're real documents. Final identified subject reported missing along with other 33 patients and staff of Woodview Mental Hospital and Psychological Rehabilitation Clinic South Wing. So yeah, he's just really posted, oh man, I found these police reports and further inquiry to cease immediately. So then he posted a picture of a police report, a photo of a police report from 1955, edited. So it's essentially a police report typed up like from the 50s in like typewriter style, but then written on it is in a pencil. And written on it is, this is really good. So this is like written on top of the police report. Fog rolled in 3 p.m. It appeared 3:17. Mark and Evan went outside. Couldn't cover them. Thick fog. Screams and sounds like laughter, but deeper. It's out in the fog. What does it want? Slender Man, kill us already. Then blood drops, like on the picture of the report. He started posting more and more, and next he started posting like kids drawings, supposed to be what kids said they saw in the woods. Like a kid, I found this picture a kid drew, you know, and then other users started getting on with it, started playing along, pretending it was real, and it kind of took over essentially this contest. The Slenderman just took over this entire contest. Here's another post accompanied by a black and white image of a misty forest, and Slenderman is like photoshopped into the background. And then he wrote on this again. Both subjects were hunting in the Steinman Woods 4 hours before sundown. Surviving subject states that while hunting, both men grew uneasy as fog levels rapidly increased. A constant murmuring sound accompanied by a low hum eventually became apparent to the two men an hour after the fog increased. An object falling out of a tree struck one of the men in the left shoulder, causing him to discharge his weapon. Object said to be the body of a man of unknown age. It was very precisely dissected, with major internal organs still contained within the rib cage in what looked to be clear bags. Surviving subject placed organ bag within backpack. Attack followed several minutes later after a low children's laugh, like a giggle. Surviving subject ran until he reached his vehicle. Subject then drove to assumed safety. Backpack destroyed. Surviving subject is classified as B7 witness. B7 witness to be placed in quarantine blind box until resolution. And then 2007. Investigation team discovered 22 bodies of both genders and various ages impaled on broken tree branches in a radiating circle pattern with chest mutilation, as often noted with Slenderman. Upon confirmation, lead investigator, redacted, called for an immediate evacuation of investigation team at 1700 hours. Bodies first discovered at 1100 hours. Deadline for safe evacuation of team with only viewed physical evidence of Slenderman approximately 1730. Lost contact of team at 1725. Safety procedures fell within established protocols. Reason for abnormality is unknown. Second team recovered camera equipment 1 week later. Slenderman safety procedures require this incident's physical photograph evidence to be disposed of by no later than 10:20. So it's like he's playing along, you know, making it seem like these are real police reports he found of this real life creature. It's very
the SCP thing.
SCP, that's what I was literally going to say. It's very much I think SCP would have well been up and running.
Yeah.
The SCP site for those, I love the SCP stuff for those out there who might also be fans of SCP. But yeah, it's written like that, as in this is a real thing that's happening.
So good. I think it's the simplicity of Slenderman which like really resonates with people's fears so much. It's like this. It's unsettling because it's a combination of these humanoid features mixed with like an eerie lack of facial features,
which is disturbing people. Yeah,
it's terrifying. It's basically the uncanny valley effect, it's this like primal feeling of uneasiness people experience when like androids or robots or visual simulators, they closely resemble humans, but they aren't quite convincingly realistic.
Yeah,
it's kind of similar to that dream picture of the Dream Man, or that viral picture of the Dream Man. Who apparently visited numerous people in their dreams all around the world. But it's a picture of him, and it's the same sort of thing. It's like it's a face, but it's like not a face.
There's something weird. A little bit weird about it.
Distorted or something. It's just it's unsettling.
Exactly. Yeah. So Eric Knudsen, who created the Slender Man, he said he was inspired by previous internet urban legends, stuff like the Rake, and essentially from those original postings, it took off. It took over places like Reddit, places like 4chan, and places like YouTube. People started making stories, pictures, all that kind of stuff, and became huge.
I think that's why the creepypastas they work so well. It's when it takes that little bit of truth, just enough to draw you in, and then adds like a whole load of like spooky bullshit to it.
Yeah.
Like I
love that spooky bullshit.
I love spooky bullshit.
Yeah.
I think another good example would be, have you ever heard of Robert the Doll?
Name sounds... Is that one of those haunted dolls?
Yeah. So it's often referenced in creepypasta stories. So the doll itself is very much real. It's actually currently on display in a museum in Key West, Florida. Apparently the doll is incredibly haunted. And like, to be honest, if you look at it, it looks like it's haunted. It's absolutely terrifying. It's
I'm be the judge of that.
Okay,
Robert,
you
Robert the doll.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's big as well. Like it's nearly the size of like a 2 or 3 year old child, and I wear like a sailor. Yeah.
No. I'm the fact that it's big that bothers me.
It's very big, and it wears like a sailor outfit. It's very very creepy, and the face expression. It's like
that's gross.
Yeah, it's not really a face. It's like.
Yeah, it looks really, really old. I don't like it.
It's very strange. And there's numerous creepypasta stories which often elaborate on this legend, adding fictionalized details and crafting eerie narratives around the doll's malevolent influence. So it's this like ability to blend elements of truth with fiction that makes it a great creepypasta. Which, like, it's not something entirely new. Like they've always told folklore stories, which reflects beliefs and fears of, like a culture or community. Spring Heel Jack, for example. We've talked to him before.
Saucy Jack.
So he's like, Spring Heel Jack. He's one of those stories that got passed around by ordinary people, claiming to, cited Spring Heel Jack, a leaping caped monster, who was said to have terrorized Victorian England. Where like there is a difference between folklore and this creepypasta fake lore. So creepypastas, they consider it a form of modern folklore. They often mimic the style and structure of these traditional folklore, but they're created primarily for entertainment purposes rather than being rooted in genuine culture traditions. So the biggest issue, I guess, is what we're going to see with today's case is when disturbed children come across these creepypastas and don't have the cognitive ability to separate fact from fiction,
right?
Which leads to this whole messed up situation.
Yeah, the whole situation we get in. The created powers for Slender Man are thought to have he gives victims amnesia, coughing fits, paranoia, which are all things which kind of our girls will share, and these symptoms were eventually called the Slender Sickness, which is why they would believe that they were victims of the Slender Man because they had those like paranoia, amnesia, and that kind of stuff. He was said to live and reside in forests, and where they lived in Wisconsin was a particularly leafy area. There was lots of forest in this place. He's said to stalk and abduct his victims, mainly children, and these people were children. The myth goes on to say he can take his time choosing his victims, sometimes sitting in silence watching for years before acting. Morgan, Anissa, and Payton had started sharing an obsession, a dark obsession with Slender Man and his stories, and that he was real. The whole, kind of verisimilitude of Slender Man and these kind of internet legends, well, they bought in on it. They weren't just saying, we're pretending it's real for fun. They're like, it's real. Yeah. Kids are dumb, but there you go. That's it. They started believing this stuff. And Payton would later say it wasn't really her cup of tea, but she just kind of went along with the whole Slender Man obsession because otherwise she would feel left out and excluded by Morgan and Anissa, who took the whole Slender Man thing and they just booked it. They were Audi 5000. They were down the road with it. Where Morgan and Anissa got the idea that Slender Man would accept a sacrifice in exchange for the safety of their own family and loved ones, that's not part of the Slender Man mythology. They pulled that out of their own ass. So May 30th, 2014 was 2 weeks after Morgan's 12th birthday, and to celebrate, her mother said she could have a sleepover. Naturally, she invited her two best friends, Anissa and Payton. They went roller skating that afternoon, driven to Skateland, where there were disco lights and top 40s, bopping on the loudspeaker. They then returned back to Morgan's Mogo's place just after 9 p.m., where they disappeared into a room for the night. They spend the remainder playing on the laptop, goofing off, before eventually settling down in Morgan's bed. The three of them squished into her loft bed with Morgan and Anissa sleeping side by side and Payton left at the foot of the bed.
I miss those good sleepovers in that age.
Sleepovers are good times. Good times, my friendo. Yeah.
Staying up all night playing video games.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to find porn. Always failing.
It wasn't easy back then.
No, it really wasn't. Kids don't know how easy it is today. Everything was seemingly normal. The next day, they played dress up and played around in Morgan's house until eventually they asked Morgan's mom if they could go to the park to play. Typically, they never would have been allowed without an adult to supervise, but because there were three of them going in a group, Mogo's mother said, hell yeah.
Of course, yeah. As everyone knows, predators are no match for 3 teenagers.
Three girls, dude. They can hang out tag team with the best of them.
They stack each other on each other's shoulders.
Wear a big coat. Yeah.
Form some sort of like Power Rangers Megazord.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So they ventured off to David's Park, popular park, for the playground, soccer, baseball, bike trail, laced the accompanying woods. And it was in walking distance from Morgan's place at Sunset Apartments. Once there, the girls went to the public washroom at the park, where Anissa and Morgan suddenly attempted to pin down Payton and inadvertently ended up smashing her head into a brick wall. Kind of just out of nowhere. According to Anissa, Morgan had a mental breakdown right there and then. She started acting erratically, pacing and singing. All the while I can assume Payton is wondering what the actual shit is going on with a very sore head. Oddly though, she stuck around, assuming probably they were just playing and maybe it got too far, and Anissa told Payton to go wait outside while she calmed Morgan down inside the bathroom. As I said, yeah, Payton must have just assumed they were just horsing around and it went too far.
Yeah, really, I feel like really sorry for her. She must have just been so confused.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was just suddenly like out of nowhere as well.
Like they're still children.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Once Morgan was over her episode, Anissa suggested they go play hide. I mean, the fact they're even playing hide and seek in the woods, it's like, man, they were kids. So they went off anyway, and Payton willingly went to go keep playing with them. Morgan was counting, and Anissa and Payton hid. Anissa then suggested that Payton lie down in the dirt and cover herself with leaves and twigs for the ultimate high. Hey, listen, she won't think to look down. You know?
Who looks down these days?
Nobody. Or was that just another easy way to have her lie down on the ground so she wouldn't be able to run and escape? Either way, Morgan came around in her seeking role and she got to where Payton and Anissa were hiding. Morgan then handed Anissa a small steak knife. However, Anissa quickly handed it back to Morgan, stating she couldn't do it. So Morgan said, okay, fine, I'll do it. But only when you tell me to. Anissa then took 5 steps away and said, "Kitty now, go ballistic, go crazy." And this is when Payton, Anissa and Morgan's innocent game of hide and seek turned very deadly. Morgan went over to where Payton was crouching down hiding and stabbed her 19 times. While doing so, she would say famously to Payton, "Don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat."
It was like scratches or something.
That's what you say when Keith enters to record a podcast. Every time he says, "Don't be afraid, I'm only a little kitty cat."
That's what I'm definitely 100% going to start saying.
Yeah, I know, I think you should. Any fans out there, make kitty cat t-shirts for Keith.
There was actually, I seen someone, it was really funny. It was one of the episodes ages ago. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember which episode it was, but we were talking about the family cat died, and I was explaining to my daughter about death. And she got really confused, and she was like, "Is baby Keith dead?"
Yeah.
And there was a comment on it, it's like, "Please make baby Keith is dead t-shirts." I would totally wear that because I do feel dead inside.
There's actually been some great pictures, by the way. Some fan art has been phenomenally good on this podcast. We're totally in the middle of a story right now.
Oh, really?
Weird. But I'll just say it now that it's in my brain. Some people have sent in, by the way, pictures and fan art, and it's honestly you guys are incredibly talented. Please keep sending it in. There's been I'll show you after we're done this, but some people send in some amazing pictures. They're very, very funny.
Okay. Sorry for derailing us there.
Yeah, it was a very serious moment.
I know,
I should go way off top. It's my fault. I can't.
For allowing me to do it.
I can't help myself. Morgan stabbed Payton in the arms, legs, and torso. She punctured her spleen and liver and nearly missed an artery beside her heart. Payton, she tried to get up to get away, so they ended up leading her deeper into the woods, where they dressed her wounds with leaves and then left her to die. As you can imagine, Payton was stabbed to shit. She was wandering, stumbling around. They kept luring her, taking her deeper and deeper, and then covered her with forest crap.
Jeez, horrifying. Thinking
they had appeased the Slender Man and his sacrifice, they had packed overnight bags and they'd filled with granola bars and water, and then they were going to head off to Slenderman's mansion, which is not a part of the official canon. They invented that themselves. Both parents would eventually find damning notes and evidence of planning the murder in their rooms.
It really just shows how far into their delusions they both were. Like, they firmly believed that they were these proxies of Slenderman, which is basically someone who serves or is under the influence and control of Slenderman.
The Slenderman sickness.
Yeah, Slenderman sickness. And they act based on his needs. Morgan claimed that she received instructions from Slenderman, giving her an ultimatum, which was to either kill and live in the Slender Mansion, or he would kill both her and Anissa's family, which you mentioned earlier on. Just quick, as a side note, they believed that Slenderman's mansion was in Nicollet National Forest, which is like, it's a couple of 100 miles away.
Nicollet, I've never heard of, Nicollet.
It's like north where they are, literally a couple of hundred. I think it's like two or 300 miles away from where they were. So yeah, I guess it's a good thing they packed granola bars. But just shows how stupid they were. Like, they were kids. They were so stupid they were. Yeah,
it's like you're trying to find a real motive for why they just decided to try and murder one of their best friends, and they're kids. They really don't have any motive. They're just too dumb.
Yeah.
So they were escaping to Slenderman's mansion, as they believed, while Payton was attempting to crawl and find help while bleeding to death. At the same time, her so-called best friends were washing up the evidence at the local Walmart and then proceeded manically around the town, singing and crying until police eventually picked them up 5 hours later. And very luckily for Payton, Greg Steinberg just happened to be biking that very day. The police interviews, by the way, with 2 girls were very, very, very weird. Anissa did seem remorseful, crying on and off in the interview footage, and she made it clear that she didn't do the stabbing. Jeez, I'm innocent, lads. It's only then she realized, oh yeah, Slenderman, it's not real after all.
Things got very real.
Yeah, I think it's like they just snapped.
Yeah.
She did. She snapped out of it when it's like, oh yeah, there's actually police here. When the detectives confirmed to Anissa that Payton was alive, she was genuinely relieved and happy to hear it, but she oddly then asked, will I have to miss school? Yes. Morgan, on the other hand, was just batshit crazy. She placed the blame on Anissa and that it was she who wanted to kill Payton. It was all her idea. When asked about the actual act of the attack, she described it with, and I quote, stabby stab stab, and stabbing motions. She was steadfast in her belief that Slender Man was real, and at one point she pleaded with the detective, quote, please don't cut off my head. Both girls admitted to the police that they had planned this as far back as December and were originally going to kill Payton while she slept that night, but decided last minute to do it in the park the very next day. While the police investigated further, a search of Morgan's had drawings and pictures of Slenderman with words sprawled across such as, I want to die, and help me escape my mind. They also found sketches and drawings depicting the stabbing ahead of time, along with a list of supplies needed to carry out their act. Knife and the will to live was listed as some of those supplies needed to carry out the act. Both parents of Morgan and Anissa reported that they didn't suspect anything from their daughters that there was dangerous or mentally ill behavior, although William was probably like, lads, you should have listened. Morgan's mother, Angie, had been vacuuming while the girls were at the park, innocently enough thinking they would be home soon, when her son, 6 years old at the time, came rushing in to tell her that the police were at the door and that they were looking for her daughter, Mogo. When Angie told the police that Morgan was at the park, they didn't believe her. They started searching the house. After all, they just found a very bloody young girl lying in the park. Police, they went to Anissa's house where her mother Christy was told that her daughter was missing. A search discovered Anissa's cell phone left at Morgan's house with a goodbye note and a will of what should happen to her belongings. Wow, the incredible belongings a child has. With my micro machines.
My last will and testament,
my Polly Pockets should go to... but yeah, I guess she really did think that the Slender Man would take her away and that she would never see her family again. At the police station, both mothers were allowed to visit with their daughters before they were both arrested for attempted murder. The trials for both girls was heavily debated. It was heavily debated if they should be tried as adults or juveniles. Eventually, due to the extremely violent nature of their crimes, they were both tried as adults, but found not guilty by reason of mental disease and defect. Both girls did undergo in-depth mental evaluations, and to absolutely no one, even Slenderman was surprised at this. Morgan was found to be officially diagnosed with early onset schizophrenia, like her father had. And Anissa was found to have suffered a shared psychotic disorder, which basically means that her friendship with Morgan was the ultimate perfect storm for mental deterioration, and Morgan's schizophrenia more or less rubbed off on Anissa. Fully
I was looking up. It's a really interesting disorder.
Is it?
Yeah. Is it really?
I demand to know.
Actually, I think it's the title of that new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. And
Oh, yeah,
Lady
yeah,
Gaga.
yeah. I wonder if it'll be good.
Folie à deux.
Folie à deux. It's also a title of an X-Files episode where
it
they
is.
see the Insect Man.
Yeah.
That's a good-ass episode. Remember, set in a call center?
Yeah. Oh, that was a good.
He
Actually.
sees his manager as like an Insect Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so Folie à deux, or Madness of Two, as you said, it's mostly a condition that happens in families, often between like spouses as well as like two siblings. However, it can also occur in other close relationships like co-workers, romantic partners, or in this case, friends.
Yeah.
But the key factor is this close emotional bond between these individuals to the point where they're completely obsessed with each other and they start picking up each other's beliefs, no matter how delusional they are. They completely buy into each other. So there's a couple of interesting true crime cases that revolve around these instances of folie à deux. So you covered one case before, Ursula and Sabrina Eriksson.
That's an oldie, that chapter. When you covered that like 2018, 2017 maybe even.
Yeah, so they were the Swedish twin sisters, and they were involved in this highly publicised incident in the UK back in 2008 where they were seen running into traffic, and despite attempts by police and bystanders to intervene, both of the sisters, they got hit by vehicles. But there's also another interesting case in New Zealand, which I think we should cover at some point. I think it's quite good.
Suggestion time.
So the Parker and Hume murder case. So Pauline Parker and Juliet Hume, they were two teenage girls from New Zealand who formed very close friendship and developed a shared fantasy world. So they believed that they were characters in their own story and became increasingly isolated from everyone else around them. Mm-hmm. When their parents got concerned about how obsessed they were getting with each other, they tried to get them apart, but once they were threatened with this separation, they brutally murdered Pauline's mum.
Wow.
Peter Jackson actually wrote and directed a movie about it called Heavenly Creatures, and Kate Winslet, she was the one who played Juliet in it.
Wow. So there you go. All right. Don't watch that movie. No spoilers. But yeah, it sounds like a...
We'll tell you about it, okay?
Yes, exactly. Us and only us. All right. Yeah, no, sounds good. Sounds like a future That Chapter topic. Spoiler alert. Yeah, very good, Keith. Once again, you knocked it out of the park.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. In 2017, the girls were sentenced, Morgan and Anissa. Morgan Geyser was sentenced to 40 years in a mental health institution. Anissa was sentenced to 25 years as she admitted what she'd done is wrong and she didn't actually do the stabbing. Although in 2021, Anissa was released at 19 years of age. She was under constant ankle monitoring and ordered to have no contact with Payton until 2039. Yeah, I don't get this point at all. Yeah, like, you can't talk to her. Like, why isn't just forever?
Yeah,
why would you want to? Like,
just away from her.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird. But in 2023, the GPS ankle monitor was removed as an ongoing reflection and plan to rehabilitate Anissa into a functioning member of society. So, no idea where she is now. Anissa, if you're listening, hope you're doing well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope you're in a good place. Both suspects' families have gone on to fight for mental health awareness in children, and specifically what parents and families should be aware of. Morgan's mother has said that Morgan's experience institutionalized, not a great one. I probably could have told you that. Citing there's episodes of abuse, bullying, and even sexual harassment. Even though she is under treatment now and no longer experiences symptoms of her schizophrenia, she is confident if released, Morgan would not be a danger and her family is well equipped and aware of her situation to help her. In January 2024, Morgan petitioned once again for early release. 2 previous attempts were denied. Citing she has exhausted her privileges at the mental institution she's been held at and believes she would benefit from a conditional release to thrive further as a part of society. She was, in April 2024, after being reevaluated, denied by the judge. The judge, once again, third time's a charm, denied her early release. This is in spite of the doctors, however, saying the doctors said she should be early released. Doctors actually supported her early release. The judge, though, was just having none of it.
Yeah, it's weird. I've seen like 2 sides of the argument, and I like, obviously the 2 girls were very sick. Yeah. But then I kind of throw myself into the Payton's family position. And like, if that was my daughter, I'd be like, fuck, you know. So, but I get your side. It's one of those ones. It's hard to know if there's an actual right answer. But I just go with the doctors. I mean, the judge. What the fuck does the judge? I mean, this is such a complex thing about mental health. It's like the judge is like, I don't know. I think I would go with what the doctors think. It's why I'm not a judge.
Why I'm not a judge. You know, hey, listen, the law is blind. That's why they you know, it's that girl with the freaking sword and the balance and the
true.
The things. You know what? Funny story actually about the whole Justice is Blind thing is that actually started as ironic. Did you know that? The woman with the sword and the scales of justice and the blindfold?
Okay.
That was supposed to be ironic
Okay.
when it was first done because the law shouldn't be blind. The law should see everything. But so I think somebody like did a sketch of her with blindfolds on.
Right. I was like, that was cool.
No, because essentially that justice works for rich people more often than not.
Oh, okay.
So it was like a sarcastic thing.
Right, okay.
But then that just somehow became the thing.
The rich people, we love it.
Yeah, exactly. And then that became representative because justice shouldn't be blind.
Yeah,
Justice should see everything and know right from wrong.
Yeah.
So
It's very true, yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. So it's funny as something that started off as like making fun of it became the thing.
Yeah.
After the attack, Payton, she spent a week in the hospital, and since she fully recovered physically from the over a dozen stab wounds, but the fact remains she still sleeps with a scissors under her bed and will suffer the long-term trauma from these events when she was only 12 years of age. She does say thank you, though, to the girls in a roundabout way for the attack. She believes it was, the experience of going through the recovery and the therapy that made her passionate about her career choice. Payton is currently in medical school, and she wants to help others like she was so kindly helped herself.
Nice.
Yeah, very noble calling. Good for her. I hope she does go. I'm sure she will. And that is the story of the Slender Man. Stabberoonies. Stabberinos. Yeah, pretty crazy case of just kids going freaking batshit insane.
Yeah, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying and sad story. But what's crazy, actually, it's actually not the only instance of this happening either. So in 2014, a Ohio girl under the apparent influence of Slenderman attacked her mother with a kitchen knife. So the woman told authorities, I came home one night from work. She was in the kitchen waiting for me, and she was wearing a mask, a white mask. So the mother, she went on to tell a local television station that she was someone else during the attack.
Maybe she actually was Slenderman. Did she check? It sounds like it was Slenderman, not her daughter.
Always ask for ID, people. Double check. So the mother, she suffered multiple minor injuries, thankfully, including a puncture wound on her back. The girl was 13 and she faced charges as a juvenile. So I don't know, like, is Slenderman real? Did he start out as a meme, but then through the combined power of global thought actually brought this entity to life? The answer is no. However, I will argue that the fantasy village of Haunchyville is very much real.
Yes, 100%.
You should be careful. You're going to get cut, bro.
Yeah, be careful of the old guy with the shotgun and the Smurfs with the saws who will come for your knees.
It keeps me up at night.
I'm scared. And that'll do it for this whole one. Thank you so much to everybody who is listening, is hearing my voice in your ears and your brain right now. It means a lot to me. A little smooch-rooney for you. And yeah, here, appreciate a new episode of the That Chapter podcast is out every single Monday mañana. So please check it out wherever you get your podcasts. It's everywhere, so I don't know what else to say. So yeah, what's stopping you? I mean, if you're already listening, I don't.
That's true. Actually.
We're already appreciative who are. But there you go.
Tell other people.
Yes, exactly. Tell more people. We already said this, but me and Keith will probably end up doing more stuff on the That Chapter podcast YouTube channel. It's a separate YouTube channel to the main That Chapter one, but you can find it just by Googling it. We said we would like to do some more videos like the one we did of listener stories, maybe some live streams, maybe some whatevers. Who knows?
Subscribe. Smash that like button.
Smash that, bro. Smash that like button. Click that little dirty little subscribe button. You know the drill. And yeah, listen. Thank you so much. And here, listen. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Have a good one.
See ya.
He said the thing. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.